Hi, I want to welcome you back to Ed's Garage. Today we're going to attack something that, although I think I take pretty good care of my vehicles, I have never done on this truck. So this truck, if you don't know, is my 2008 Yukon XL Denali. Always take excellent care of it. Every fluid's been done except for one. Transmission's been done at least twice. We're at 143,000 miles. Transfer case is done with the transmission, differentials have been done, brake fluid's been gone through at least twice, Dexcool's been gone through twice, but I've never touched the power steering fluid. Knock on wood, I've never had a problem with the power steering system, and it's just one of those that we haven't done. So keep in mind, if you ever do have a failure with your power steering pump or your power steering rack, this is something that you have to do before you put the new parts in, or you're going to avoid your warranty on the new component. So if you haven't done it, it might be one of those things that you want to put on your list. The way we're going to do it today is going to be pretty easy. I don't think it's going to be any more difficult than a do-it-yourself oil change. I'll walk you through the parts that I have set up here. Now I don't know what the capacity of this truck is going to be. I'm set up with 2.75 quarts of power steering fluid. If that's not it, O'Reilly's is right down the corner. We'll go pick up some more. So with it, before I go and get this up in the air, I'll take you through and just show you some of the things and what we're going to do. All right, hang on. So in many ways, we're going to start in a way I would do a transmission flush. If I'm doing a transmission flush, the first thing I'm going to do is use my Mighty Vac extractor. This happens to be one I brought home from Wisconsin property, which is pneumatic, so it works real fast. But the first thing I do is stick the tube down the dipstick and evacuate as much transmission fluid as I can out of the pan, so that that's less transmission fluid that I'm going to wear when I drop the pan. Coming up and taking a look here, so as I mentioned, I'm all set up with 3 quarts of the O'Reilly's power steering fluid. We're going to start by using that evacuator to evacuate the power steering reservoir and top it off with good clean fluid. And then when we're done, we are going to, let's come over to the truck here. I'll get an extra light here. So we're going to evacuate that power steering reservoir. That's right there. And then what we're going to do is disconnect the return line, and we're going to let the rack go and pump everything out. So in this case, what we're going to do, that clamp connection right there is the return line coming from the power steering cooler up in the bottom of the radiator core support. So by taking it off there, and we're going to be using the steering wheel just to rotate the system and go in rack to rack, left to right, the rack itself is going to pump all that old fluid out and draw in the new fluid from the reservoir and the high pressure line. So what I have set up, as I mentioned, similar to what I've always done for transmission, I've had this set up for at least 10 years, that when I'm doing a transmission flush, after the pan is reinstalled and I have all new fluid in the pan, I'll go and take the return line off of the radiator, and this is the GM fitting for a transmission line. So I just pop that right in the radiator, run that plastic hose into a clear jug. When I'm doing a transmission, I'll have marks for 1 quart and 2 quarts. And at that point, what I'll do is run the engine, put out 2 quarts of transmission fluid, stop it, top off those 2 quarts, and keep doing that again till everything is nice and red. In this case, we've had to go with just a slightly different adapter. This is, again, 3/8 inch inner diameter hose, just like it was for the transmission. And I just have a little barb fitting on there that we're going to connect into that transmission return line. And then on the top of the jug, I just went and drilled a 1/2 inch hole there. So as I'm pumping it, this is just a completely no mess situation, and the fluid's going to go right into the jug down there. So that's it. Right now I'm going to get that line installed, and then we're going to jack the vehicle up. Okay, so what I want to do is have gravity working for us as much as we can. So I'm going to reach in and get this line routed behind the brake line. When you're down here, you can see the suspension position sensor and the bracket attached to the frame that's holding the brake line. I'm going to go behind the brake line towards the frame, and that'll give me a nice clear path to get into the return line off of the power steering reservoir. Here we go. Okay, so hopefully you can see, and I can reach down here, but there's that line we just brought through, and we are going to want to connect it right up there. So we are all in position for that. Now let's go ahead, see if I can hold this camera in position left-handed. Alright, let's see if we can get this clamp off easily. Okay, so I got that return line from the power steering cooler separated. When you do that, you're only going to lose a few drops from the reservoir and the pump until you open the cap. Once you open the cap, you release the vacuum and it starts to run out. So you can see real quick, I just took a little piece of tubing, doubled it over, and that will hold that there. So what we're going to do next is get the pneumatic Mighty Vac going, and we're going to suck out that reservoir. Alright, so I'm going to put this all the way down to the bottom and then pull back like a 1/2 inch so that I leave just a little bit of fluid in there. You can see that's pulling it out. This will make fast work of it. Sorry for the shaking camera. My left hand isn't the most stable. But we'll stop there, you got the idea. Okay, so that took about 45 seconds. As you can see, not a lot of fluid that's held in that reservoir. So with that, let's top it off with fresh fluid. Okay, so at this point, we have a full reservoir that took just about 3/4 of a quart, so 0.75 of a quart to fill it up. It's much fuller than cold, but we're going to be pumping a lot of fluid through. And then we are jacked up and have jack stands underneath us, and we've got some of my truck lift pads there to hold that empty jug upright until we get going. So at this point, I'm going to put you in on the jug while I hop in the truck and just turn left to right, fill, left to right, fill, and we'll keep doing that till it comes out clear. Okay, here we go. Alright, how are we doing? Yep, it's coming out, so at this point we're going to fill it. Okay, let's go lock to lock again. One more time. Okay, we're going to fill again. Okay, I think it was right side's turn. Okay, we fill again. Got a little over a quarter of a gallon. So that would be just over a quart, obviously. Alright, and that's 1.75 quarts that I've put in there. And it does look like it's coming out pretty clear out of the hose here. Let me reposition you guys. And if you see there, let's back out some so we see the bottom. It definitely looks like we've got clear coming out. We're just going to keep going until we've used up the 2.75 quarts that we have. And I think this time we were going right. Alright, how are we doing? It's definitely looking a little better. So at this point we're opening quart number 3. Okay, and this time I think we're going left. It smells like power steering fluid. Alright, fill again. How are we looking there? Still looking clear. I wish I could watch it coming out. Unfortunately, Jackson's not good at turning steering wheels. He's good at putting nose art on the windshield, but that's about it. Okay, we're going to do one more lock to lock. I think we're going the right side this time. And at that point, we're going to stop and put it back together. We've got, it'll be about a half gallon that we've got out, or 2 quarts at that point. We'll do one more. So that's going to be it. I'm going to stop and put everything back together here. Okay, so to bring you back in here, I have the return line reattached and the clamp back on it. I am about to check fluid on the reservoir, and we'll get that topped off. Then what I'm going to do is start it and let it run 15 seconds or so to move things around, turn it off. We'll check fluid again, and then we're going to start it and go lock to lock a couple of times just to see if there's any air bubbles in there that we need to move out. Okay, so we're getting here to wrap up. I have topped off the reservoir. Everything is looking good. We're going to start it up, let the pump run for a minute, and then we're just going to go lock to lock a few times. I had the keys on most of that time with the headlights on, so I'm hoping the battery's still good. Alright, let's go lock to lock. Okay, well I hope I didn't just lose my video. I went to set up and close out here and walked away, kicked the shovel, knocked down the tripod and kicked the camera over. But that's it, wrapping up here. At this point, my Shadow and I, we're going to go take it for a little test drive. So thanks for watching. Easy project to tackle. I guess it is a bit more involved than a simple oil change, maybe equivalent to 2 oil changes. I would start on this platform with the power steering cooler. I would start with 3 quarts, and that way 2 I don't think is going to be enough, but 3 was plenty. Thanks. If you like this, please click the like button and consider subscribing. I'd appreciate it. Thanks. Come on, Jack. Let's go for a ride.